Howdy, welcome back to another video. It's Jarrod from JT Electrical Group. We've got a beautiful vacationer caravan behind us here. If you're looking for a video that is ripping absolutely everything electrically out of the van and starting from scratch, new fuse panel, new isolator switch, new charging devices, inverter, do all the AC wiring, all that jazz, watch this video because that's exactly what we've done on this van. Basically a full rewire, but it has come up absolutely perfecto. So this is what the van roof looked like when we got the van, just the 3 panels. I think they were like 180 or 200 watt ones. And we'll show you in the end of the video what we've done to the roof. Underneath the bench seat, again, this is how it came. It had been attacked by a couple of different people, Auto Sparky, the owner, and I think the previous owner as well. So there's a lot of mess and nonsense going on in here. All right, so quick update with where we are at. We've taken the battery out. We've gotten the Starlink mini DC converter out. We've taken the inverter out. DC charger's gone and moved this box over to try and work out some of the wiring. See the other bits and pieces, schmozzle of the wiring that was in there. This here, right here, classic example of what happens when factory installed DC charger and how they do the wiring connections. Absolutely atrocious, and you're never going to have a good charger setup. So that's the charger cables there, just all twisted with these, just a household style BP. Absolutely horrendous for a caravan that's going to be traveling over corrugations and whatnot. That was the other end of them. A lot of these cables here are the tank levels and temperature sensors and stuff, so some of them aren't going to be needed. We've gotten a screen cable here, which fingers crossed, I pray we can actually get down inside that wall with the HDMI. HDMI is a lot fatter, so we could be in trouble, but we'll see how we go. But just, yeah, removing the system, so removing the shunt and whatnot, because that screen's getting deleted, and that box there is just going to act as a big fuse panel, essentially. We conveniently have this sitting around. So what we've done here, plugged it into our mains power, charges up our batteries at 120 amps, the two 340s going in here. So they've both been fully charged, and now they are balancing. One's dropped a little bit low there, so I'll probably whack both of them back on charge and then rebalance them. Yeah, see that difference there? So the voltage is the same, just percentage are a bit different, so it's just sucked the juice out of one. Maybe one was a tiny bit not at the top before I balanced them, because I did balance them like last week. Charge them last week. So chuck it back on, charge them. The other thing we're doing, HDMI extension, which goes from this side of the van to the other side for the screen. So what I always do, because sometimes these HDMIs can be dodgy running the Victron screen, is always take it through a tester. Again, conveniently, I've got a full test system set up here, and I just use the 5-meter HDMI extension, make sure that it's all running sweet, go through, do system reboot. The MultiPlus just turned on when I turned it on from the screen. So yeah, always, same with like solar panels, always test them before you put them on, because the last thing you want to do is put them on and them not work. But yeah, so HDMI cables, for some reason, some of them, they can be the same brand, some of them will work, some of them won't, or some of them will like offset the screen. So I just always make a rule with my boys that we always test them. I've had a bit of a mission of a morning. We've got draw wire in up there, it's coming out down the bottom there. Now this looks different again. That bad boy was in there. What I've decided to do is go, you know what? Stuff it. I'm actually gonna make a executive decision for the customer and just completely rip this out, that way that they can sell all that stuff as a full kit. We're going to put it in our own fuse panel with a low voltage disconnect, which will run that fuse panel, which will be switched from up here. We're going to get rid of all the unnecessary stuff in here that you don't need and make this look super schmick. And then we've got a couple of the Victron bits laying out there on the table out there for now. We're just waiting on the inverter to turn up, which should be here any minute, and the 70 amp solar controller. Only reason that was slightly delayed is because I just wanted to make sure what we were doing on the roof before I ordered it. Usually we hold them in stock, but I just didn't, because we've been using them on a lot of jobs recently. So that was the old screen. The old screen is outside, just there on the bench. So that was the old screen that was there. Make that cutout fit for the Victron screen. But yes, old screen, that Projecta system runs off like a very specific Projecta plug. that does like its power and its communication. Victron screen runs off a USB for power and then a HDMI for its communication. So a bit different to any other screen on the market, which is a little bit annoying. And this is why we do test these to make sure that they are working and the response times are good. Rectified our little battery balancing issue, which wasn't really an issue. Again, charger, smack them on, just active to active, neutral to neutral, charge them up to full, let them balance. Oh, don't mind that. Check the app, 100%, 13.87 and 3.46, 3.47 for the cells. 99%, 13.87, 3.46, 3.47 for the cells. Although that says 99%, the amp hours is actually higher than the 350, so I'm just going to disregard that percentage, that it's 1% off, because the voltage is the same and the amp hours is actually higher than what the rated amp hours is. They are all good to go. We've done our AC runs, which are nice and neatly done down the back of the fridge, and now we are up to full rewire. Show you the rest of that once it's all done and looking schmick as. So from the comparison of what it used to look like to what it is going to look like is going to be worlds apart, which is nice because the customer will be able to see that what they are getting is definitely both with that fuse panel. The lights light up if you blow a fuse, so you know when the fuse is blown. Low voltage disconnect is just on and off through the switch, so it'll actually protect the batteries as well as isolate through the switch. Having this divan set up like this doesn't cost much more, but it's just going to be like so much better. And if anything like was to like go wrong with troubleshooting, is fantastic in a system like this. Really, really good. All right, quick solar intersection. Just want to show the fusing. Now, yes, it is not the prettiest thing in the world, but if it's going to be done right, you need to fuse every single panel to be compliant. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 panels. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 fuses. Inline fuses, MC4 connectors, and every panel fused. There's easier ways to do it with not running the cables from those 3 panels over to here, but I do this just to help out the customer, so that way if there is any need for any sort of troubleshooting, all you got to do is lift up this one panel and all your fuses are underneath the one panel. Again, what I like to call keeping things silly simple. Rather than putting the fuse directly underneath each panel, you don't know which one's blown, so it's an absolute nightmare to pull up each panel, try and find which one's blown. And then we did also run a new solar circuit in. So this solar circuit will be operating at anywhere from like 100 to 120 volts. Got a 150 volt input solar controller, circuit breaker on the inside, which will handle the voltage and the amperage. Just about to put the last panel down and let them set. So we didn't have a transition from this part of the video to the ending part. So from here on out, this is the finished product of the Caravan, is what you're seeing. It's a vacationer Caravan. It's got the double bunk system in the back, bed at the front with the door at the front. As we walk in, you see bed into the U-shaped club lounge, into the fridge, and the kids' bunks at the back with the shower and ensuite. Original electrical system was here, as you would have seen earlier in the video, and now it's had a full rewire with all the fruit and all the good bits. I'll give you a quick rundown of what's going on in the van, or what we've done in here compared to what was in here before. So it had the Projecta system, 2000 watt inverter. You had things like the Starlink system, which is over here, which will wide up a bit how you're going. So we've gotten some modem brackets, so that's actually mounted up now and it's all plugged in. All they've got to do is click their remote to turn it on, and away they go. We've added solar to the roof, big boy 70 amp solar controller with a solar circuit breaker. And then as you walk in at the door, you now have a very nice screen, and we've just added 2 extra switches because the old screen was switching the isolating switch and the water pump. What I'll start with is the isolating switches and stuff up the top here. So obviously Victron screen, I'll take you through that in a sec, but you've got your 2 switch panels all doing 12 volt. This one is stayed exactly as is, and these annex and bug light switches were already here, and we've just added a water pump switch to engage the water pump, and then an isolating switch. So we hit that isolating switch and it kills all the 12 volt power, turn it back on, and it brings all your 12 volt power back on, including the fridge. So that's switching this low voltage disconnect from Victron on and off, which is controlling the fuse panel. You'll see the fuse panel is all nicely labeled, each circuit. If a fuse blows, this fuse panel will light up and it'll tell you which circuit has blown. We've got the water pump is set up on a relay. So that there is our relay that's been wired in. That's what's been involved to, you know, take the, where you used to press the button here to power on and press the button here to turn the water pump on. No, that's there. We slide across. We've installed new tank senders, which are the RV electronic tank senders, which I'll get in a second and I'll show you here. Now we got them running through the Tank GX module, which is this one here, and then plugging it into the Cerbo to give you your 3 water tanks, a front fresh, rear fresh, and a rear grey. The old senders were Projecta senders, so the Projecta senders aren't compatible with the Victron gear. So we've installed float senders, not just like resistive sensors, so they'll actually give you like 5 litre increments through the whole tank, which is pretty sick. DC charging, so we've added a 16mm twin DC charging circuit to the front, which this fuse protects. It's on the A-frame of the van, and then you've got your Orion XS 50, and then you've got another fuse panel down here, which has got DC charger 1, just a MIDI fuse panel, and then that's also doing our solar output and our fuse panel output from our battery system. 70 amp solar charger with our solar isolator circuit breaker there. All our labels done as per AS3001. All our warning labels done as per AS3001. And then a 3 kVA Victron MultiPlus under here. Fit right under the bench seat there. We've got all our 240 input output circuit breakers here, and then our 300 amp DC circuit breaker for the DC side of the inverter. All the cables nicely felt taped. You know, you can't see any blue RJ45s that plug into the Cerbo because they've all been felt taped too. Nice neat system. So that's allowing us to then go onto here, turn on the inverter. Now what I want to show you with the inverter, so the aircon runs fully off grid. Okay, we're not plugged into mains power right now. So even if I, let's say, turn off the input circuit breaker there to show you that we're not plugged into mains power, you can see there the aircon running off the battery system. Now, what I want to show you on here, so Vacation and Lithium, which is our smart shunt, which is outside of the battery box, which I'll show you in a second. So we ran the, I'm going to go to trends here on the side and just go to the last 12 hours. So this morning at 10 AM I turned the aircon on while the solar was pumping. So at 10 AM we're at 96% with the aircon on, cooling at 16 degrees, and here in Wollongong today it was like 35 odd degrees. Now you can see we've got minus 40 amps. We'll go through all the way down and it gets down to 85%. That's at 1 PM. So 10, 11, 12, 1 o'clock, 3 hours of running the aircon, and we've lost 10% of the battery power. That was with the solar on the roof charging it. And then I turned the aircon off at 1 PM, and then by, what's that, 4:30, the batteries were 100% full again. Now I'll go into the solar, Vacation of solar, which is this one here. It's the afternoon now, so we're not getting any solar in. But you'll see the last 3 days, we have harvested 3 kilowatt hours, 3 kilowatt hours, and then 4 kilowatt hours of solar from the sun, which is awesome. Today, So actually something to be mindful of here as well. So yesterday and the day before were actually cloudy days, but you'll see we've got 855 watts and 1009 watts of solar coming in. So it's actually still performing quite well. Even yesterday was actually better than it was today because the sun was out today. There was no clouds in the sky. It was really hot. So the panels were getting hot. Therefore, that 985 watts is less than the 1009 watts. So today was actually, we got better peak solar out of it yesterday with the clouds than we did today with the full sun. So that's a perfect example of what I talk about in our previous videos of saying, yes, we have good solar conditions in Australia, but they're not perfect, because when we have a good summer's day, it's also hot. The solar cells are black, they get hot, heat creates resistance, resistance is inefficiencies. So that's why I'll do the quick math now. We've got 225 plus 225 plus 180 plus 210 plus 210 plus 210. We've got 1260 watts on the roof of this, but obviously we haven't seen that come in at all. The highest we've seen was 1009 watts. Like I said, we've got 1260 watts on the roof. Yesterday we only saw 1009 watts max, so we're not getting the full. That's fine though, because what I'm going to show you here is still a pass mark. So at the peak there, it's roughly 63 amps. We've got 6 panels up there. They're all wired in series, so we're getting 120 volts, so it's still compliant with the AS3001. Because it's under the 120 volts DC. We've got our circuit breaker, they're all MC4 connections, and every single panel on the circuit is fused, which I would have shown you earlier in the video, or right now if we drop it into the video right now. It goes to show that just because you have a solar panel that's a certain wattage doesn't mean you're going to get that here in Australia. That's going through the solar. I'll jump on the roof now, I'll show you the solar. So on the roof, we've got the 6 solar panels, 180, 2 225s, and then 3 210s on the other side. Custom wanted to reuse the ones that they already had, so that's what we've done. What I'm going to do now, show you the battery boxes and what they look like in their finished product. Now, be mindful, they've got 2 340 amp hour lithiums. So we've got 680 amp hours across 2 340 amp hour lithium batteries. And this is a box that we welded on here in-house. We've painted it so that it's come up well. You can't see the welds. You've got your IP67 shunt outside. We've got our battery terminal with our 400 amp terminal stud fuse, and then our second battery just there. You can see we've got our IP67 500 amp shunt. We've got our 2 batteries here. It's got a lock on the battery tray on the cover, so no one can steal your batteries as such. 400 amp battery terminal fuse as per AS3001. There's nothing on this van that hasn't been missed. All our cables got our circuit protection, and the batteries are wired correctly like we do on all ours, in the sense of active from one battery, neutral from another battery. It's not that hard to do. It's very easy to do, but a lot of people make that mistake, and especially from manufacturers. We see it all the time and get a lot of calls for people to go, hey, one of my batteries is flat, but the other one's still running. What's wrong? Can you help me? Straight away already in my head, I know batteries were either not balanced or they've been wired incorrectly, one of the two. And yeah, unfortunately, a lot of the time that second lithium that's usually dead can't be brought back to life. That's beautiful, 16 degrees on the aircon. We're pulling 98 amps. And actually, one other thing to add as well is when I was running the aircon earlier, I was actually also running the 12 volt fridge when we did that 3-hour test, losing 10%. But yeah, that's pretty much everything on this van. Just basically like started from scratch, obviously minus the 12 volt circuits and the accessories. Oh, actually one more thing. So the customers installed something that we posted in an earlier video for their Starlink Gen 3. They've got a little remote trigger. This unit here is like a remote controlled relay, and all you're doing is pressing on the remote. The Gen 3 power supply from 12 volt will light up, and then the light on the edge of the modem tells us that we're getting power. So if I press off on this, off, and no light on the modem. So they can do that with the remote from anywhere in the caravan, and it's all retrofitted or running off the battery system, you know, the most efficient way possible. Again, the whole system here is fully Bluetooth, so I've got it here just for the video on my laptop, but everything is also straight off the phone. I've set up the Cerbo here on the VRM ID, so it's uploading. We're just outside internet connection, so it's not uploading at the moment, but I can see all this, access it, check on their system, help them out with troubleshooting, all from my phone on my laptop, as long as they've got internet connection, which they've got the Starlink Gen 3, so as long as they got some power in the batteries, they turn it on and away they go. If there's any questions you got in this video, let me know, but full, complete rewire. It's got absolutely no reason the batteries in this one shouldn't last 10 plus years. All the Victron gears 5-year warranty, touch wood, but I've never had to warrant a Victron piece, or a Victron part. We use these products because we know how well they perform, we know that they're reliable, and at the end of the day, we're here in Wollongong. We're doing systems for people that travel all around Australia. The last thing I want is customers ringing us when they're out in the back of nowhere in Western Australia going, oh hey Jarrod, my solar's not working. That's why we use the products that we use, because they know that they work and we know that they're reliable. 40 degree summer's day, the last thing you want is your aircon not working. A system like this, you know it's gonna work. Even if you wake up and you've drained the battery overnight from running the aircon, if it's a hot summer's day, your solar by midday is gonna charge the battery system back up a good sort of probably 30–40%, and you're gonna be able to crank that aircon the next night so you have a comfortable sleep. If you got any questions, chuck them in the comments. I'll do my best to answer them.